Good morning, everybody. This is Brad, and we're at NAB 2019 at the Renewed Vision booth. It's our first time in the South Hall, and we're really excited to be here. We actually have our largest booth that we've ever had at a trade show, and featuring a lot of different LED product from our friends at Formetco, various sizes and shapes and whatnot. We're actually powering everything from PVP3 as we usually do. I've got two 4K outputs and a 1080p output that are powering all the LED screens that you actually see behind me. I'd actually like to go through some of the new features of the products that we actually are showing here. As you know, we have 4 different products: ProPresenter PVP3, ProPresenter Scoreboard, and our Pro Video Server application, all of which are have updates presently or will be having updates in the next couple weeks. So I'd like to actually show you through some of those new updates if you follow me. ProPresenter on the Mac, we're going to be updating very shortly with version 6.4. One of the great new features of 6.4 is that we've updated the NDI engine. We give you the ability, if you have the SDI module or the Alpha Keyer module for ProPresenter, it gives you the ability to output both simultaneously, SDI and NDI, on the same machine. So for those workflows where you're actually outputting to a physical switcher via SDI inputs, you can simultaneously output over your network through an NDI connection with Alpha Key if you have that functionality. To another workflow solution, such as through Wirecast or some other streaming kinds of solutions. So that's a great new feature in ProPresenter 6.4 for the Mac, as well as some other new features or some other new bug fixes and whatnot that we've been working on for you. And so that's what we have to show for NAB in ProPresenter. Now I want to actually come over here with Rich. Rich, good to see you. To talk about ProPresenter Scoreboard. ProPresenter Scoreboard has been a great product for us, and it's kind of grown through the desires and needs of lots of different scoreboards. So it's exciting because it's in use by the largest high school LED scoreboards in the country, and powers a lot of minor league baseball teams and small colleges as well. So there's some great enhancements that have been added to ProPresenter Scoreboard, chief of which is that when we released the product, we released it with thinking of all of the major sports that people might actually want to use with Scoreboard, which include volleyball, baseball, soccer, lacrosse, and that kind of thing. But we've gotten a lot of interest in other sports that we hadn't heard of, and so we wanted to add to the flexibility of that. And rather than actually create custom interfaces for each of those scoreboards, what we've added is the ability to have to create your own sports. And so doing, Rich is actually going to change from our baseball template here to a custom scoreboard, and what he's actually showing here, he's actually showing 3 different matches at the same time. The great thing about this is that you can create an interface that allows you to have score increments for the specific sport. So you can have specific buttons to increment if it's 2 points for one button or 4 points for another button, depending upon the sport. It allows you to show multiple matches or games at one time. This is very useful for those high school gymnasiums that are in use for both basketball, volleyball, but then wrestling. So when you get wrestling, you have 3 different matches going on at one time. This gives you the ability to track all of them on the same scoreboard. And the great thing is because we have the web-based interface for the scoreboard tracking, you can have a proctor or the ref for each one of those matches controlling just their match on the iPhone, and all of it is combined in the scoreboard application to show in whatever template. This is just
visitors. The show floor will officially open in 15 minutes.
This is just a basic.
The show floor will officially open in 15 minutes.
Show floor is opening in 15 minutes, so we got to hurry here. This gives you the ability to actually see multiple matches at once, but have them controlled independently of each other. This is a basic template that we're actually showing here. It's completely customizable with your own graphics and whatnot, so it's a great new feature that we've added to ProPresenter Scoreboard, and we're really excited about it. And then I actually want to come over here to Drew. So PVP3 has been a great product for us. It's gotten us into a lot of venues and a lot of fun projects, and one of the chief people that have been involved with those fun projects is our friend Drew, who you've probably seen with some other videos that we've actually done. So Drew's brought some of his own projects that he's done and that consume lots and lots of pixels, and so we just want to talk a little bit about those. He's actually showing here the American Professional Football Draft from last year. This year he's going to be doing it again in another 2 weeks, and it's over 28 million pixels, I think you said. So
28.6 million pixels.
It's crazy, running off of a single computer, running PVP3, and powering everything through our network interface, right? Our API, and then powering it through these little boxes, the Stream Deck boxes. If you've seen our previous videos, this allows us to interface and send network commands to control all the aspects of PvP for all the different queues that the football draft it uses. So I think you said 20 different 1080p outputs.
Yeah, with a full main and a hot backup, and we'll be controlling all of those machines from a central control and talking to the rest of the show, so they can fire cues when they want to, and we can fire cues when we want to, and everything. So we actually won't touch the computers once we get into the show.
That's awesome. Drew's also been involved with a lot of different corporate events, and he's done some really innovative things, but there's one event that I actually want to show you if you could pull up the one project. PvP is a queue-based system, certainly, but it gives you the flexibility. The whole idea of PvP is it's designed to be very flexible in its use. So you can have all these different assets, but you can move things around very, very quickly. So if your show is not so predefined with fixed queues, but you actually have to move things on the fly, such as they do in the draft, where you don't know what team is going to be picking next, you don't know what the clock is going to be, or what is going to be needed. Similar things happen in corporate event shows. So oftentimes you just want to have a set of assets that you can trigger as you need them. So this is actually a great example that Drew is actually going to show you here for a simple corporate event show that he was actually doing, if you want to walk through that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so by the way, a couple of new features coming out. One of my favorite ones is the ability to take your sort of master canvas view and output that to an output as a preview. So now I can see a full view of what I'm doing nice and large and make sure all the pixels are in the right place. So that's coming soon. Anyway, we did this simple show. It was a very wide LED wall, 7680 by 1080, so sort of 4 1080s lined up. And instead of rendering content after content after content after content, let's say I wanted a red background with a anniversary logo for the event, and then I wanted to put side pips on there with IMAG, and then I wanted to put something on the 1080 feed to record.
Typically you would pre-render all that.
Typically
kind of
I would
stuff,
render a red background with a logo here, and if they wanted the logo here, I'd be rendering a whole nother look for that, right?
Sure.
So what we do now with layering is we're actually able to bring sort of a toolkit of pieces and then use that dynamically on the show. So I can, let's say I'll fire a red background here on our ultra wide, and then I can come over and I can add a logo in the center, and this is just a little logo animation we've built with an alpha channel. So that's there. If I wanted to go and change the background, I would just bring in a new background color. Didn't have to render a new look with a blue background and that logo. If they want that logo moved live on the show, put it on the sides, put it in the center, offset it, that's a target move now. It's just me dragging it over,
sure,
as opposed to rendering a whole new look.
Sure.
So where this actually starts to get really fun is if I'm bringing in an input, say, so I'm bringing in an NDI input here into some side pips I've created. This could be SDI, NDI, IMAG, PowerPoint, whatever is someone is using. ProPresenter works great over NDI that way. So now let's say that this presenter is in the middle of his presentation and he wants to throw to a video, and we want to do a full video takeover. Well, normally I would have to have had a rendered transition from a blue background with this logo to a video look, and then back from it, right? But I don't know if he's got a video or not on the show.
Sure.
So I don't want to deal with making that. So what we've done is we now build our video transitions as alphas. So you can see it just sort of takes over. And what's happening here is that we've run another alpha channel video on a higher layer, and so it's actually covering up what's below. So now I can throw a center video in here, play it back, whatever. But actually behind the image, I could be switching to a new look. Let's say I'll put a different logo here. So you can't see it on the output because it's hidden under the layer. But then when I go and I sort of reveal with a new animation, you'll see it reveal back to a different source. So this, so essentially I've gone from having to render hundreds of files for an event to rendering 10 or 15 bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then I can use that over and over and dynamically switch it on the show, hit snapshot, save a look, and I'm good to go.
And what I love about what you're doing here is because you're not only using the media server capabilities of the software, and the layering and the alpha keying is all great, but then by combining all of that with the live video inputs, it takes the advantage. And the whole vision of PvP3 is that it's a media server as well as a screen control system. And so here you can have a screen control system. You can be doing all this video underneath, as you saw when he closed up and did played the layer and had that showing over some other things that were happening in lower layers. He could then, those lower layers could have the live video inputs and the pips for those iMag shots. That's really hard to do when you're using the dedicated screen control systems, because they're not actually controlling the media at the same time. So having it all in one place so you can coordinate all the media cues and actions all at the same time, I think is a real testimony to the power of PvP, and I think that you've made great use of that. So I really appreciate you showing it off.
Yeah, we love it. We use it every week.
It's great. So then that brings us to PvP. We've got new version 3.3, which is coming out very, very soon. One great thing is we have, for a limited time, we've reduced the price of PvP. So the power and functionality of it was actually a steal at $9.99. We've actually, for a limited time, made that price $6.99, so you can save 30% for the next few weeks. So some of the new features that we're introducing in PvP, Drew actually showed you one where you can actually take the preview output or the master output and show that on a separate screen. We're actually showing that as an input on the screen right there, so you can actually see the layout of our booth and the individual screens that we have set up in its own preview, which is very useful for operators that are behind the scenes. They're not sitting in front of house and can't see everything that's going on. They can then see exactly what is going on a single screen output. Another new feature is we have, with all of our outputs, you have the ability to output alpha key. So if you want to do alpha key SDI key and fill out, or through NDI you can show your alpha, or siphon output you can have alpha. That's a new feature that we've got. And then finally, one of the great new features that we have is the ability to create track mats. So you can actually create a mask channel that is specific just to one layer. And so that's a really cool feature. Just to demonstrate that, again, I have some different presets that are sitting here. So the mask, actually, let's come around here and show your piece here, Rusty. So we have, Rusty's got kind of a cool demo here. He's actually running or simulating two different, the same live input in two different places. And you can see that this is our final output. He's actually running those two different live video inputs, but one of them is actually, he's taken the saturation out so it shows as black and white. Well, we have this animation, this matte animation, it's just these boxes, the white and black boxes, and we're using a Luma mode, or a Luma matte, that's then taking and showing just the black and white pieces where there is black, and the color pieces where it's white. Similarly, we're doing another new track mat with ProPresenter that's actually coming in via NDI, and everything that is white we're then filling with this video layer. So this gives us a lot of flexibility and power in creating some dynamic looking effects, combining two different video channels, but just our blend modes, all of our other blend modes go down the entire stack of layers. This gives us the ability to do some really, really cool things, not only with dynamic content like this and lyrics and that kind of thing, but also for the corporate events like Drew was showing. You could use those alpha mats and those track mats for the reveals and whatnot, and for those for dynamic videos. If you actually wanted, if you had non-square iMag reveals that you actually wanted to do, as opposed to just fading in the pips, you can actually do, you know, diagonal reveals of windows and that kind of thing. So it's a really, really powerful new function that I think we're going to see a lot of fun things from our customers with PvP 3.3. Again, that's coming out in the next week or so, but we're really excited to offer a new pricing model for $6.99 for a limited time. We'll hope you check it out, and all of the Renewed Vision products, which are available on our site. You can always get more information there. So again, thanks for coming to NAB 2019 virtually in the Renewed Vision booth, and we hope you have a great April.